make sure no one is in the bar today, okay? I cannot have those guys in here making a mess. You got it?
There's a pretty high margin of error when it comes to the absurd. Absurdist humor is usually a game of one-upmanship, which makes it difficult to utilize or foundationalize something for an extended period of time. Think of it like a souffle. If you cook it too long, it gets exhausting. If you don't cook it enough, it's just confusing. There's this weird Goldilocks zone to creating excellent absurdist humor, and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia that has really perfected that recipe over the years. On the surface, It's Always Sunny is about terrible people doing terrible things, but there are incredibly nuanced machinations which enable the show to achieve higher peaks of absurdity time and time again. Which is why if you ask 20 different fans what the best episode of the show is, you'd probably get 20 different answers. But there is one episode that qualitatively might balance the absurdity and chaos with structure and technical detail better than any other episode in the show's run. It's this one right here, episode 4 of season 10, Charlie Work. Charlie Work is an episode of Sunny that wastes absolutely zero time cutting to the chase. The episode begins with a cold open that provides us with an immediate feeling of intensity and excitement as Charlie is rushing to Patty's pub to set up for a surprise health inspection. By the time he arrives, he is greeted with, well, I guess what you'd call a confusing scenario, as everyone is holding live animals and Dennis is painting a sign. The result of this completely insane visual is that we as an audience are left humorously intrigued as to what exactly is going on. And it's frankly just misdirection, to the point of almost being ham-fisted, but it works. In just 30 seconds, the hook for the entire episode is set.
Doing a chicken and airline mile scam today?
Look, it is a great plan, okay?
Charlie is seldom seen as a person who is in control of any situation placed in front of him. He's irresponsible, lazy, and easily manipulated, and is arguably the show's dumbest character.
Charlie can't read. He'll adapt. He'll adapt to reading?
However, it's in this episode that we see Charlie as more of an idiot savant when it comes to keeping the bar afloat. An attempt to show us that Charlie may be essential to the lives of Mac, Dennis, Dee, and Frank. It's also a nice change of pace to have him in the driver's seat from time to time, as it allows some of the other cast members' more ridiculous personality traits to shine.
All right.
What we're seeing play out here is just a basic of writing. If you're going to use absurdity, oftentimes it's smart to contrast that with a straight man or straight situation. Ground it. The concept of absurd versus straight allows the absurdity to land due to the straight-laced behaviors and reactions from a normal person. In a way, the straight characters serve as the voice of the audience and allow us to connect with the absurdity by identifying it realistically. If you only have absurdity without something normal to contrast it, then you have insanity for insanity's sake, and any attempt to make emotion, comedy, or thematic content land, well, wouldn't go so well. This episode is also a masterclass in justification. The first 5 minutes are chock full of justifying things that seem completely insane, but because the writers do the work of justifying all this wacky behavior, it all comes off as being grounded and intentional, making it easier for the audience to follow and relate to. About 1 minute and 40 seconds into the episode, we get a brief exchange between Charlie and Frank about him not wearing any shoes. Frank halfway justifies this by saying,
Lost him in the bathroom.
When Frank and Charlie go into the bathroom, it's revealed to us that Frank intentionally flushed him down the toilet. That is a behavioral choice that is seemingly, for lack of a better word, insane. Now that we have this insane choice, we need to justify it, which is done through this line of dialogue at about 2:40.
It's an anxiety thing, Charlie. Everybody's moving so fast, all of a sudden it freaks me out. Flushing things gives me control.
It's a small piece of dialogue, but it fits in line with Frank's character and allows something as bonkers as intentionally flushing your shoes down the toilet to reveal more of Frank's character instead of just being a ridiculous thing that we're supposed to laugh at. See, crazy behavior isn't funny on its own, it becomes funny when we understand the reasons why someone does the things that they do. It's Always Sunny is at its best when our developmentally stunted characters are forced to perform seemingly usual tasks, but so many of them, and so quickly, that they manage to make something as simple as cleaning a bar feel like the stupidest and most irresponsible version of an Ocean's 11 casino heist a person could possibly fathom. There is so much for these characters to do in 23 minutes each and every time we turn on the TV. There are chickens to hide, steaks to unload, and a Frank to paint. We get all of those things, all of that here in this one episode. And as impressive as the first half of the episode is from a writing standpoint, it's the second half that stands out technically. The latter half of the episode is a showcase of timing, execution, and choreography that's done rather impressively. In fact, it's reminded some of Birdman, which hadn't been released yet. The jazz being added after the fact as a nod to the film. Now, this climactic sequence all feels like it's one continuous shot, but it really isn't. Given the way that they shoot It's Always Sunny, that would be, well, completely impossible. The interior of Patty's Pub was at the time shot on a soundstage in Studio City, California. The front exterior of Patty's is shot at 544 Mateo Street in downtown LA, and the alley of Patty's Pub is shot about 2 miles away from that at 111 West 11th Ave. The director, Matt Jackman, hides his cuts beautifully, something similar to what people like Alfonso Cuarón have done or Inarritu. Let's take a look at some of them. The first cut of this sequence is hidden at 9:28, as Charlie and the delivery driver make their way into the alley for the patio seating. The camera quickly pans to the green door, and then they are outside. The next cut happens shortly after that, while they transition back indoors at 9:46, using a brick wall to hide the cut, and they continue to do this all over the latter half of the episode. Using characters, clothing, closed doors, masking, and the cover of darkness, they're able to stitch together footage in a way that feels seamless, and more importantly evokes a sense of urgency. It has purpose. One-shots are used for all different reasons, but one reason one-shots are used frequently is to make us feel like we're in the scene with the characters in a tangible way. Obviously, the entirety of 1917 is shot this way, but there's things like the escape sequence in Children of Men that do this very well. The point is, this style of filmmaking requires precision and timing that just doesn't happen that often in the world of single-camera comedies. The level of choreography, prop placement, and timing almost evokes a feeling of live theater rather than a television show. And as an example of this show getting more creative as it runs, which is maybe It's Always Sunny's final superpower, continuing to be creative. Charlie Work is a perfect episode because it takes all of these elements that make the show great. The hijinks, the scams, the banter, the characters, the absurdity, and the creativity, and grounds it all in something that feels harmonious. Absurdity craves reality, but absurdity in art also craves quality, and you get that with Always Sunny. I have a lot of theories about why R-rated raunchy comedies kind of died out in the late 90s, early and mid 2000s. Eventually, a movie gets so raunchy that it's hard to top the next raunchy thing with another raunchy thing. And this ended up killing the genre in a lot of ways, which makes it a borderline miracle that It's Always Sunny has continued to work the way it has for so long. I think the lesson from all of this is that anything can work if you care enough about it. 10 seasons in, and the directors and writers and creator of It's Always Sunny still care enough about this show to try things as out there and as unique as what's done in Charlie Work. That care, not just creativity, that care about their art, their work, their media, is what makes this show special. It's the reason this show has lasted. It's adapted. And I think every piece of media and art can learn something from that. As long as you care enough to adapt what you're doing, people will continue to care about what you're putting in front of them. Well guys, that's it for this episode of Nostalgic. If you enjoyed this one, press the like button down below. Also hit subscribe, that way you can't miss any. And on your screen right now are 2 more episodes. You can click on either of those. Hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video.